Coming up, we'll take you to Rockcastle County, where Division of Forestry firefighters are fighting back against Mother Nature.
Police in Georgetown arrest a man they say was dealing in thousands of dollars worth of drugs.
How government agents caught a man they say used prison inmates to defraud the IRS.
This is WKYT News at 5:30.
Good evening. Thanks for watching WKYT. Wildfires continue to burn in parts of the state today, and while overnight rain made a little bit of a dent, it really wasn't enough to snuff out much of the flames.
New fires are popping up in eastern and southern Kentucky, including one that's already burned more than 10 acres near Livingston in Rockcastle County. As Mike Linden explains in our top story at 5:30, crews are worried dry weather could reignite some spots.
As warmer than normal temperatures and dry conditions persist deep into the fall season, fires continue to spark up across the Bluegrass State. But here in Rockcastle County, county officials say they haven't seen very many wildfires. But that all changed Thursday afternoon. According to State Division of Forestry crews, a fire just off of Blackburn Road in Livingston began Thursday afternoon. More than 10 acres have burned so far, but no homes are in danger. Firefighters say light rain Thursday helped to knock down the flames, but with drier weather in the forecast, some of the smoldering spots could spark back up. Crews also made a fire line around the perimeter of the fire, which separates the burning leaves and trees from the rest, with the hopes the fire won't jump the line. State firefighters say had it not been for the rain yesterday, the fire could have become a much larger problem. While Division of Forestry firefighters have yet to nail down a cause for the fire, they're investigating it as an arson at this time. In Rockcastle County, Mike Linden, WKYT. A burn ban is in effect for Rockcastle County. That means all outdoor burning until further notice is prohibited.
Yesterday, Governor Bevin declared a state of emergency because of all these fires. The first time wildfires have caused such a declaration since the year 2001. The Kentucky Emergency Operations Center then has been activated. The Kentucky Emergency Management Director says the situation is better, but the threat remains if we don't get a decent amount of rain this weekend, which Chris says we probably won't. Officials say that 49 total fires have been reported in the state so far.
We know that rain is not likely for us for some time, but what we do know is that we have more early November-like weather here for us this weekend. WKYT Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey joins us now with more.
Yeah, guys, not only is it going to be bone dry this weekend, no rain is coming through the course of the next 3 or 4 days at least, but the humidity levels are going to be bone dry as well. That is a very, very bad combination. I'm not seeing a ton of wind this weekend. That may be the only saving grace, but given the dry conditions out there, I don't know that it's going to matter a whole heck of a lot. Temperatures right now 50s to low 60s into much of the region. Defender Radar Network, obviously it spent the better part of fall on a very quiet note after a soggy summer. Past few weeks only giving us a day or two of some light rain, including yesterday. Clouds into northern Kentucky right now. Folks who are heading out to a high school football game right now will deal with temperatures into the mid-50s at kickoff, dropping into the mid and upper 40s by the time we roll our way into the fourth quarter with a mainly clear sky that will be noted. Frosty night will follow that up for some of us, but a little fog may try to fire up early tomorrow morning. Weekend looks good, and guys, the bad part of that forecast and the good part is the exact same thing. No change, so that means we get the pleasant temperatures, the pleasant weather. No change means we get zero rain during this time frame as well. That's bad news for the firefighters and the forestry officials who are battling those blazes into southeastern Kentucky. No help from Mother Nature in the short term. 7-day forecast coming up in 10 minutes.
Chris, thank you. Georgetown police say a drug investigation led to at least one arrest and thousands of dollars in drugs recovered from a home.
Police arrested 28-year-old Darren Wilson yesterday during a search inside a home. Police say they found 31 grams of cocaine. Sabira Rayford has details in a story that's new now at 5:30.
Georgetown police said the investigation took months. They say when they finally did get a search warrant, they found a fist-sized amount of cocaine. But that's not all. Police say they also found more than $600 in cash, marijuana, and a gun. They say they found the 31 grams of cocaine and the other items at a home in Georgetown on the 100 block of Deerfield Lane. Police arrested 28-year-old Darren Wilson, and he faces several drugs and weapon charges. Police say the drugs they found had a street value of more than $3,000. Sergeant Jason Bruner with the Georgetown Police Department says narcotics investigators worked on this investigation for a while. He says over the years they've started seeing more drugs hit the streets of Georgetown.
It's a large amount. We're seeing more and more of all kinds of drugs, especially heroin. And this was a pretty good find, and able to take a good dealer off the street.
Police say they are continuing their investigation. They say there is a possibility that more people were involved. In Scott County, Sabir Rayford, WKYT.
A $10,000 bond has been set for Wilson.
A former Eastern Kentucky sheriff is being accused of stealing thousands from the government. Our county-by-county coverage at 5:30 begins in Harlan County. A federal grand jury indicted Marvin Lifford yesterday. Lifford is accused of stealing thousands of dollars worth of funds, goods, and services during his time as sheriff, and sought reimbursement for numerous personal expenses, including food, alcohol, and a dating website subscription. A court date for Lifford has not been scheduled. He faces up to 10 years in prison and a maximum fine of $250,000. In Magoffin County, Governor Bevin and Salyersville city leaders cut the ribbon for a new manufacturing plant. Logan Corporation manufactures high-end dump truck beds. It moved to Salyersville into a facility 5 times bigger than their previous location in Martin County. Company leaders say they have nearly 50 employees, and they hope by January of 2018 to have 100.
A Lexington woman seriously injured in a cycling crash earlier this year today shared her story of recovery. Laura Babbage gave the opening prayer at the American Heart Association's annual Go Red for Women luncheon. The wife of former state auditor Bob Babbage crashed her bike in France during a race in conjunction with the Tour de France. She has been undergoing therapy at Cardinal Hill Rehabilitation for the last 12 weeks.
I can run, jump rope, and swim. Perform amazing memory exercises. Some of you may want to talk to me. And drive my car. Quite amazing.
She did receive a standing ovation more than once. Next month, Babbage, a former nurse, plans to resume her work as a chaplain at UK Medical Center.
Now that Halloween has come and gone, if you're looking to get rid of any leftover pumpkins, an animal rescue would be happy to take them. Pig Rescue Mafia is a rescue that takes in abandoned pigs and helps them find a new home. And it turns out pigs are big fans of pumpkins, so they're asking for any pumpkins, gourds, or hay bales from your fall decorations.
There's always another use for instead of just throwing it in the garbage. And the pigs love pumpkins, and we can use straw.
Well, who knew? The Animal Rescue has set up donation sites around the state. You can drop them off here in Lexington at Earth Dog Spa on Allendale.
He preyed on the desperate hopes of prisoners all across this country, according to officials. In reality, he stole millions of dollars from the U.S. government.
He promised he'd send reading materials. He would put them in touch with people if they needed legal aid. And he also promised that he might give them a small amount of money that they could put on their prisoner accounts.
Qadir Shabazz sent brochures to correctional institutions under the name Indigent Inmate.
They didn't have family members to help them. They didn't have friends that would help them. They essentially had no money, and they were left in prison to rot.
All they had to do was fill out a brochure, including their name and social security number.
There are actually legitimate prison charities that do offer that kind of assistance and do include on their application forms names and social security numbers. So the prisoners, they were not alarmed when they were asked to provide this information.
Shabazz turned around and used that information to file fraudulent tax returns with the IRS. More than 13,000 prisoners had their information compromised.
Everything else can be completely bogus. They'll enter, bogus wage information, bogus dependent information. They will put in exactly the right information that they know will maximize a refund.
Social media photos show Shabazz with some of the $12 million he received in the scam. The scam crumbled when a postal carrier noticed checks arriving at the same house with different names. Postal inspectors say any of us can be a victim of false tax filings.
And make sure that you file your taxes as early as you possibly can, because once taxes have been filed for you for a given tax year, they can't be filed again.
Kadir Shabazz was convicted on more than 30 counts of wire fraud, identity theft, and defrauding the IRS.
Here's a question. What's the one thing you want to do before you die? A new display in Frankfurt is asking that very question. The story is after the break here on WKYT.
I'm Bill Bryant. Kentucky's Secretary of State pronounces the Commonwealth ready for a fair, free election on Tuesday as the candidates fight toward the finish line. The bottom line is coming up.
With the election just around the corner, state officials are making sure that everything is placed when voters head to the polls.
Bill Bryant has details on the bottom line.
Good evening. After all the noise, we are heading into the last weekend before America's general election, and Kentucky's Secretary of State says the Commonwealth is ready to go with the vote on Tuesday. Allison Lundergan Grimes acknowledges Kentucky has a history of Election Day problems, but she says everything has been checked and rechecked. Everything will be reevaluated and continuously monitored as voters head to the polls.
Kentucky does have a history of a few bad actors, folks attempting to do things that they're not allowed to do in elections. And I think the good news is they've been caught. We have Election Integrity Task Force that is on high alert, vigilant. Our partners, we're working with the FBI, the U.S. Attorney's Office, Attorney General's Office, state police, our sheriffs throughout the state. The front lines of this process, it's the voters. As they go to their precincts to vote on Election Day, if they're seeing anything that causes them concern, we want them to reach out to us.
Grimes is a guest on this weekend's pre-election edition of Kentucky Newsmakers. Also on the program, UK political expert Stephen Voss looking ahead to the Tuesday vote. Kentucky Newsmakers airs Sunday morning at 6 on WKYT. It repeats at 10 a.m. Sunday on the CW Lexington. Record it or catch it then. Hillary Clinton's campaign is hoping to get a boost from today's monthly jobs report. It showed unemployment declined to 4.9% and wages went up in October. Clinton's camp is hoping that may nudge voters to continue current economic policies and divert attention away from other issues like the email scandal that has dogged her throughout the race. Donald Trump is headlining events today in New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, and Ohio, while his running mate Mike Pence is visiting Michigan, North Carolina, and Florida. The Republican ticket is making a major push in those battleground states where the polls show it close. Trump continues bringing up email questions at every stop and to question Clinton's trustworthiness. Kentucky's U.S. Senate candidates are on the move. Democratic challenger Lexington Mayor Jim Gray's campaign reminding voters to decide each race individually in terms of who would do the most for Kentucky. Republican Senator Rand Paul is working hard to win a second term, promising to keep a lid on federal spending and taxes. Bill Bryant, WKYT.
Hospice of the Bluegrass is asking people to share their dreams and goals with the public. A Before I Die chalkboard wall sponsored by Hospice was unveiled yesterday in Frankfurt. Anyone can write some of the goals that they would like to accomplish in life on the board. Some of the goals written include skydiving, learning a foreign language, and making new friends. The Before I Die chalkboard wall will be on display through the end of this month.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey.
Well, the first weekend of November is officially underway. It's off and running on a very nice weather note out there. We've got clear skies for most of the area. Northern Kentucky, still some clouds showing up on the Skycam out of Florence, although a little sun now breaking through over the past few minutes. That's the first ray of sun they've had up there all day. Rest of us, though, dealing with the gorgeous temperatures, upper 50s, low 60s, and you can see that little teeny tiny bank of clouds here in the Boone, Kenton, Campbell counties. Folks around Cynthiana looking to the north, you've been noticing that wall of clouds. Then you look to your south, and it's been mostly sunny. Now, later tonight, early tomorrow morning, got to watch for some fog to begin to fire up yet again. Outside of the fog, let's say frost. You get the fog, you'll be closer to 40 with clear skies. Frosty 35 a possibility. Tomorrow afternoon, thermometers should hit the low and mid 60s into much of central and eastern Kentucky. Then a quick drop in your temperature as soon as the sun gets low on the horizon. If you're looking for a big change, keep on looking. The next 3 days, it is pretty much a continuation of what we are seeing right now. Okay, we're not going to be anywhere near as warm as how we started out the month of November with those record highs on the 1st and the 2nd. Little patchy frost tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, maybe even Monday morning in the valleys. Then each and every afternoon, we'll see temperatures that will be normal to a little above, under mostly sunny skies. Let's walk you through that entire weekend forecast in terms of temperatures. There's no reason to show you a precipitation or cloud map for the hour by hour because there's not going to be a whole lot of clouds. We're not going to see any precipitation out there. So let's focus on the thermometers. Notice the 30s showing up early tomorrow morning. Middle of the day, the 50s. Tomorrow afternoon, low to mid 60s. This is likely just a little undercooked with those thermometers. Tomorrow evening, though, quick drop in temperatures as the sun sets. That'll set us up for some upper 30s and low 40s on Sunday. Sunday afternoon, how about mid and upper 60s? So that's a little above where we should be. And then with that dry air in place as we go into Monday morning, some patchy frost, upper 30s to low 40s. So given what we've shown you now for the next 2 days, think we'll see a change on Monday afternoon? Nope, not at all. 65 to 70 for a lot of the area on Monday. And what you see here with a lot of upper 60s is what you're going to see again on your Election Day Tuesday. So it's a pattern that's stuck still on neutral. And clocks do fall back 1 hour tomorrow night, so we've got that going for us. Election Day weather looks good. And as we go into the end of next week, I keep pushing that rain chance back a little bit, which is bad news because obviously we are very dry now across the region. So it may not be until next Thursday or Friday at the earliest before we have a chance of rain.
What a weekend. Great temperatures, sunny. We get extra hour of sleep.
A little tailgating tomorrow? Huh?
Yes,
Going to be nice.
Thanks,
Enjoy,
Chris.
guys.
Got a collision on the outer loop of the circle near Harrodsburg Road. Stop and go traffic from really Versailles Road over to that point right now with one lane blocked. That's the biggest issue that we're dealing with at the moment. Drive times right now, we're holding our own to Versailles, still dealing with about 7 minutes or so. Well, actually, it looks like about 11 minutes to Versailles. No major problems. Nicholasville, about 11 to 13 minutes there. Now back to you in the studio.
Just ahead, we'll hear from Georgia head coach Kirby Smart.
He is in his first year. His team has been struggling. He believes the Dogs are better than the record. And Brad Calipari on those big shots that he hit last Sunday night. And his dad was treated pretty well at home. That's next on WKYT. Second exhibition coming up for the Wildcats Sunday night. The Asbury Eagles get the opportunity to play in Rupp Arena. Now, one of the highlights of the exhibition opener was Brad Calipari knocking down not one but 2 3-pointers. The second one off the glass brought the house down. The younger Cal has quickly become a fan favorite.
First one was a good opportunity I had. Made it. Second one was a little lucky, obviously. Sometimes the ball just happens to fall your way sometimes, and it was just one of those times.
I walked in the door after that game, and I thought I was George Clooney.
She's loving on me. I'm sure she's glad to have me back, just because I was away for a couple years. You know, I'm the baby in the family, so I know she's happy.
All I can tell you is a very smart group, a very driven, wired group, competitive group, and then there's Brad. I'm not George Clooney tonight.
It is Kentucky and Georgia tomorrow night in Commonwealth Stadium. The Cats go into the game on a roll. Georgia has been struggling. After last weekend's loss to Florida, the Dogs have dropped 4 of their last 5, including close games to Tennessee and Vandy. Coach Kirby Smart is in his first year. He knows his players can't be thinking they're a bad team.
90% of what you do is your self-talk. So if you're talking to yourself the wrong way, then you're usually in trouble. I mean, like Kentucky right now, they won 4 out of 5. They probably got real good self-talk going on. We probably don't. So convincing our kids and making them understand that what they believe is who they are. So if you believe that you're a bad team, then you probably are. If you believe that you're a good team, then you probably are. That's the sell we've got to do a great job of as coaches with our players, to be honest with you, because I really believe we're a better team than we've indicated.
All right, it'll be the Cats and the Dogs tomorrow night, 7:30 on the SEC Network from Commonwealth Stadium. And the celebration in Chicago continuing today. Cubs fans coming out in full force for the World Series parade. The Cubs clinching the title Wednesday in a dramatic Game 7 against Cleveland. First championship for the Cubs since 1908. Luckily, today was already a scheduled day off for Chicago public schools. So even the kids are able to join in the fun. I've got a feeling they would have skipped school anyway. All right, we'll have more coming up after the break.